on Thursdays. As you know, I am working diligently to bring you the Democratic candidates that are running all over our state, 92 counties. I don't care where they live. If they don't mind driving down, we'll have them on the show, baby. This is what we do right here in Black Pearl Studios. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I know that for you, 2020 is an important year. And you want to make sure that you understand who the candidates are, why they're running, what skill sets they possess, all that good stuff. And that's what we're bringing you right here on Turn Left. But I do have a rant that I want to kind of get out. And y'all know I haven't really been talking much about impeachment because, you know, for the most part, I'm more worried about the issues that are coming out of our state house. Like, you know, passing a budget with no teacher increases. You know, a bill on the House floor that says that we can put 12-year-old children, 7th graders, 12-year-old children in adult jail. First, sidebar. I'm just going to say this out loud, and y'all can tell the people who need to know that I said it. Any black minister who believes that young children should be, 12-year-olds should be in adult prisons. You remember how everybody was getting all upset about the Harriet Tubman movie, and they was like, dang, how the black dude gonna be the villain and the white dude shoot the black dude in the head and somewhat kind of saving Harriet? Well, that's not really how that went down. But there were people who were all up in arms about this idea that there were, you know, villainous black men. There are such things as villainous black men, and any minister who is running around the city of Indianapolis talking about children should be held in, 12-year-old children should be going to adult jail, that's that dude. That's that same character. That's that same guy. So unfortunately, they haven't gone anywhere. But anyway, that's a sidebar. I had to get that out. I had to get that one out. But I was talking to one of my mentors today, Regina Moore, down in Bloomington. You know, she's been doing this thing for a long time. And she was talking about how discouraged she was about watching the impeachment hearings. And it wasn't just about, you know, the lies. It was the perception that, you know, that we're putting out to our young people, that it is okay to, you know, distort the truth or argue just nonsensical things like, you know, obstruction of justice is not impeachable. Or, you know, using your power for political purposes as President of the United States isn't impeachable. We know that these things are true. We know that those things are true, but they are standing in front with a big megaphone, and our young folks are seeing that it is okay to lie. And it's okay to cheat to get what you want. And we both were talking about that a little bit, and it did hit me because there are a lot of things that I am not necessarily happy with. But, you know, as someone who understands nuances of humans, I may be new to politics, but I ain't new to humans. I recognize there are certain behaviors. And as we go forward, Democrats, we see what the other side is willing to do. They're willing to sell their souls for a tax break. They're willing to sell their souls to pad their pockets. That's not who we should be. We should offer an alternative to that. And I'm hoping that, you know, as we go, and I said it all last year and every year I talk about it, when we run in our primaries, we want to run with integrity because that's who we are as Democrats. One of the things that is disturbing me more than anything else is that this notion, especially with our presidential candidates, where people feel like if you're not for my guy who is running in the primary, then something is wrong with you. Or if my guy or my girl doesn't win in the primary, then I'm not supporting or I have disdain for the other people who are in the primary. That's ridiculousness, y'all. That's crazy. That's what they do on the other side. See, our job is to uplift each other. Our job is to offer candidates who are wanting to help our community. How can we offer candidates to help the community and we ain't willing to help ourselves? So all of that nonsense and all that haterade that people be having, that's not what we doing on Turn Left. Right? That's not how Indiana's own is conducting business. And I know from a state party standpoint, we are really, really, from a state party standpoint, trying to support any candidate that we can with the resources that we have. Everybody's not getting the same thing. Everybody don't get the same money because we ain't got it like that. But we will help. We want to make sure that all Democrats have a voice. I don't want any of that vitriol about, well, this person ain't with me and that person ain't with me. We all should be about giving all Democrats the platform that they need to tell their story about why they're running for office. And there's some behaviors that we all need to be watching out for, right? It's up to us because we are the educators of our children. They see what we do. They see how we do. And when you have, one side of the aisle who is on television, we already know Rand Paul did everything he could to out the whistleblower. Now, when Republicans were using whistleblowers, they didn't want anybody to know who they were, where they came from, what vicinity they were in, none of that. But when it suits their needs, they are willing to turn the tables. And this behavior, this hypocritical behavior, our children are seeing. Our young people are seeing. Those that want to go into politics or public policy or governing, any of that, they're seeing this behavior. And we have to be sure that we offer them something different. We have to make sure that we offer them an alternative to that nonsense that we are seeing. I don't care what level, what state, where you come from. Look at here, people calling me on my phone. I ain't done. I'll keep talking. Real talk though, as Democrats. And I know that I am a bleeding heart liberal to my core because I believe that children should have breakfast before they go to school. And if their parents are struggling, we ought to be able to find a way within our school system to be able to help that child because a child can't learn if they're hungry. I believe that a teacher shouldn't have to come out of their pocket to purchase supplies. When you worked on an assembly line, did you have to actually go buy the screws, nuts, and bolts to put the car together? No. So why should teachers have to go out and buy the supplies that they need to teach children? I believe that every human should have clean air, clean water, and they ought to have the ability to get quality, affordable health care. There are things that are staples to who we are because we are about the people. And when we're running these primary races or when we got presidential debates on or whatever the thing is that gets you watching politics, remember, we are relatively all on the same side. We just have different methods to try to get to where we're trying to go. And it's just all up to us to set the example. It's up to us to be the leaders that we say and we claim that we are and find ways to expand our voice, expand our purpose, expand our policy, because when we do that, that means we're helping people. That means we're helping families. We're helping mothers. There's stuff that's coming out of our state house right now. I can't believe they want to lock up 12-year-olds with adults. What could possibly go wrong? What could go wrong with putting a 12-year-old in adult prison? I can't even imagine. What could go wrong? And sorry, black and brown folk, that's going to impact us much more than it would anybody else. How about the fact that they passing bills that says the Attorney General, Mr. Groper, can take local cases away from the prosecutor? Can you imagine if the Attorney General of the United States told the state of Indiana, if you're not going to prosecute these cases on a state level, we're going to take them to the feds? Man, those dudes down at the State House would lose all their hair at one time. And y'all know it. There would be a collective, the tundra would just fall in on itself. Just fall in. And they'd be like, what happened to the Indiana State Capitol? Federal government came in, said they was going to take some rules away from them. Listen, we have to be better. We must be better. We have to exude what we say we want to be and live that way. Nobody's perfect. Nope. None of us are. But we can all work to be better tomorrow than we are today. And that's all I do. And each and every one of you has something in you that's fantastic, and you can, do your thing your way. But just remember, people are watching. Our young folk are watching. And we need to be setting the positive and the right example for them to follow. All right, that's my rant. I hope that meant something to you, because if it didn't, you just lost 10 minutes of your life. I'm just saying, one of the great things about this show is that you get to have candidates who are running at all levels of our government. We can have federal, state, and local people who want to represent the communities, and that's what we have today. Today I have for you, yes, running for Marion County Treasurer, a longtime Democrat, Miss Barbara Lawrence. Miss Barbara, welcome to the show.
It is awesome to be here. Thank you for this great opportunity.
It is my pleasure. And driving all the way down from Fort Wayne, or Wells County, I apologize. He's not in Allen County. He's in Wells. Running in the Congressional District 3. He's running for Congress in District 3. Y'all welcome to the show, Chip Coldiron. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Coldiron,
Welcome to the show, sir.
All right, thank you for having me.
So I know that you guys had no other choice but to kind of put your ear a little bit, turn on a little bit, turn off a little bit, the impeachment ceremony. What is your... I don't even really talk about it much because I already know what's happening and I know what's going to happen. We know Mitch McConnell, he's not going to come out of his shell. I did that. He's not going to come out of his shell and do the right thing. What are your impressions and what are your thoughts and what are some of the takeaways that you'll use from this to move forward? And go.
Okay, and go. I think the words sort of distressing, depressing, sickening, all those words come to mind to see not only the behavior out of the White House, but also sort of how there is collusion within other bodies for that behavior. It's just, I'm speechless sometimes when I think about it. When I was watching, I have sort of tuned in and tuned out. I routinely called it the 53-47 Club because during the articulate speech of Adam Schiff and his colleagues who are on the House team, you just knew what the vote was going to be after the first time. It didn't take the great Karnak to make a projection on that.
Yeah. And you want to be in Washington. You want to be there. Talk to me about it.
Well, while I watch it, all I can think of is that, we go back 20 years and we're seeing, depending on the political party, almost like flip-flopped of what people are saying today. So for me, that's kind of frustrating because it's just like now the tables have turned. And now whatever the Republicans were saying, 20 years ago, Democrats saying today, Republicans were saying 20 years ago. So it just seems like a lot of the same statements. Situation's different between, Bill Clinton and President Trump, but
absolutely.
But a lot of the same statements coming, just kind of like flip-flopping. So I think that's frustrating. I'm in favor of term limits, so I think if that would be the case, we wouldn't be seeing replays of politicians from 20, 30 years ago.
Man, and see, I guess they thought they were still stuck in the 60s and there weren't that many recordings, but like, yo, dude, you said this 20 years ago and it's in color. I mean, I think that one of the best lines I heard was somebody tweeted, does Ken Starr even know he's Ken Starr? It was like, dude, do you not even know who you are? Okay, that craziness, I don't like to spend a lot of time on it, but it was just the behavior that was driving me crazy. But there's so many things that are happening right here in Indiana. And as you guys look to take your prospective roles, let's talk about who you are, where you come from, and why you want to be Marion County Treasurer.
Okay. I am an unlikely candidate. Never thought I would run for office, never had that burning desire. I've been a long time behind the scenes Democratic activist. Really, I started when I was a teenager handing out shopping bags for Lee Hamilton at a festival in New Albany. And always had a love for politics, which I think was fueled in part by the Watergate hearings. I was old enough, I was coming of age and starting to get a political understanding. Always loved politics, ran for student council, always enjoyed politics. And when I went to work for Frank McCluskey, who was then mayor of Bloomington, right out of college, I thought I died and gone to heaven.
Bloomington getting a shout out today.
It is. So I don't think much that it's so much the political side of it, but I have been involved politically and professionally from a public finance standpoint. That it just brought me to the point where, after swearing off that I would never run for elected office.
Never say never.
I know. And, there are life changes and people change. And my mother told me that it's a woman's prerogative to change her mind.
Right.
So about a year ago, I set out on this course of reinventing and sort of building a new life for myself. And I decided I wanted to do something that would challenge me and stretch me. And quite frankly, it's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot. And it's a challenge that I've taken on that I really am enjoying.
Okay, cool. That's a deep story because a lot of our sometimes our young folks don't you know sometimes they're so eager to make change and do things differently that they forget to sometimes reach back to the well, right, where that knowledge comes from. And I think that you shared some things that I don't think people realize. You've been around a long time doing things for a long time. When people were like saying Barbara Lawrence, I knew you, but I didn't know you, and it was like it wasn't until we finally sat down I was like, I know you.
I remember that conversation. You said, "Where I went, I know you. It's you." Yeah,
I had no idea.
And quite frankly, there are a lot of people that have known sort of my background that always thought that I would run for office, and I just never had that burning desire.
Okay.
So
okay.
I do now.
You do, well, that's beautiful because honestly, we could always use more women in a lot of different roles. So, I'm always excited when there are women running for office. All right, Chip, talk about it. Now, listen, you were running in a district, dog. Whoo! We know Courtney Trish ran a hell of a campaign, but she was the first to be called, right? Tell the people who you are, where you come from, and why District 3.
Okay, well, I'm from District 3, so I was born in Fort Wayne, moved south to Ossian when I was 5, when my parents bought their first house. Went to high school where I'm teaching at right now, Norwell High School. I'm a teacher, yep. Didn't start going out to be a teacher. I went to IU, Bloomington, met my wife down there. We didn't get married.
Bloomington, shout out.
Bloomington again, yep. But when I'm getting ready to graduate, I was supposed to be graduating in 2001. September 11th happened that year. So
yes.
So I was only studying biology and thinking I was going to the medical field at that time. But then I was like, I want to do something. So I decided I was going to join the military, but I wanted to get political science and economics under my belt before I did that, in case I made the military a career.
Okay.
So I added that onto my degrees, and so I joined the military. Was in active duty for 5 years. Get to my base in Fort Drum in 2006 November, and actually 2005 November, and they're like, we're packing up in January, we're going. So was at my base less than 2 months, and I'm deployed with my unit. So
where were you deployed?
To Afghanistan.
Okay.
Paktika province, right next to Pakistan. It's as close as you can get to Pakistan without being in Pakistan.
Okay.
So I was there. Supposed to be for 12 months. The day we were gonna come home, they woke us up early. We thought, all right, our plane's ready to go.
Yeah, we're ready to roll out.
And they're like, oh, you're staying for 4 more months. So
wow.
Our 12-month deployment became a 16-month deployment. And so we had to get on our phones and tell our families, hey, we're not coming home in a week or so. We're coming home in 4 more months. So finally, that was my first deployment, 16 months, come home. In between deployments, I got married to my wife, who I met in Bloomington while we were at school.
Shout out.
Shout out to Bloomington. Get off my show, Bloomington, all right? Regina Moore, you did this. All right.
We actually both worked at Bloomington Hospital down there. So that's where we met. So I have healthcare experience as well. But then trained up for a year and then went right back to Afghanistan for another 12 months. And this time it was only for 12 months.
Okay.
So I got to come home. While I'm doing the military thing, you get to a point where you're going to train soldiers, and that's how I fell in love with trying to be a teacher.
Okay.
And so I got out and went back and got my teaching license. Went back to Bloomington for my master's and teaching license. And I taught there for 3 years in a school called Edgewood, which is what I call like Bloomington West. You got Bloomington North, Bloomington South High School, and they have a school in Monroe County called Edgewood. So I taught there for 3 years, and then out of the blue, I had applied to Norwell when I first got my teaching license because there was an opening. But 3 years later, I'd never heard anything back, but the principal called me up and was like, hey, you want to come back to your hometown and teach? And I was like, yeah, for sure. So that's where I've been for 5 years. And so get back to my hometown, and it's like the struggles that were going on, 15 years ago, 20 years ago when I was, getting ready to leave to go to Bloomington when I was 20, are still there. People are still struggling for, to make ends meet, struggling to pay their bills, struggling to put food on the table. So for me, that was kind of like a wake-up call to kind of like get involved and just kind of do something for my community.
That's what's up. Now, I got some questions. Some of the story you triggered some thoughts. As someone who, made sure that he was educated and then went into the service, When you see some of the decisions that come down out of Washington that impact young people that volunteer, that volunteer to have the ultimate sacrifice, how does it? I mean, and I am not in the position to say what I would never try to put someone to say something was wrong with the military or anything like that. My point is, how does it make you feel when you know, like, some of the information that you were given and the reasons why you went weren't necessarily on the up and up? You know, now that you survived, and you can look back on it in hindsight.
Yeah, for me, it's very frustrating to hear comments come out from different politicians that say Iran will never do anything to us because our military budget is, $700 trillion or $700 billion. Sorry. So we seem to put soldiers in harm's way, thinking that they're not going to get harmed, or at least say they're not going to get harmed.
Right.
And so for me, that's really frustrating because I'm a teacher. Every year at Norwell, there's somebody graduating and going to the military. So I still have family members in there. I still have friends in the military. So for people to say people will not get hurt if we do this or that or whatever, it still can happen. So it's very frustrating.
And I imagine it is. And see, I'm a chicken. I admit it openly. I'm a chicken. I would have never got through basic training because you had to crawl through mud. and therein lies the problem for me. But when we consider only 1% of our population actually volunteers to go into the service, and then to find out that, again, they're sacrificing time with families, and their lives themselves for things that weren't necessarily true, it's just disturbing. And then, veterans coming back, I cannot stand it when I listen to people waving their flags, America this, don't kneel, don't do this, da-da-da-da. But we can't even get the VA to take care of the needs of the people that we promised that we would care for. Don't come to me with your, political waving flag if you're not doing the things that you're supposed to be doing. And that's making sure our VA is doing everything it's supposed to do for our veterans who did get hurt. And your GI Bill slipping, all the things that we made these promises are now slipping. So I'm just saying, all y'all want to run around and say we all patriotic, but don't want to raise funding for veteran care is a problem. So as veterans come home, they buy houses, they buy property. Talk about the role of the treasurer. I know, you see I did that? You see I did that? Okay.
Talk about good segue. I think it's what they call it in the business. Good segue.
Talk about the role of the treasurer and how you help everyday citizens in that role.
Okay. The primary focus and mission of the Treasurer's Office is the billing, the collection, and distribution of property tax revenues and tax revenues for residents in Marion County. It's quite an arduous task. You can imagine, the annual budget for Marion County is probably $1.3 billion. A large chunk of that is property taxes. So the process for the billing is an arduous task. You have the collection dates, which are generally May and November. Then, obviously that's a heavy workload. And then you also have to make decisions about the investment of those revenues. Okay. And then there's the process for distribution, which means each of the taxing districts within Marion County would get so much money, whether it's TIF revenues or whether it's property tax revenues that go to the town of Speedway or the city of Lawrence. Those are the types of tasks that the Treasurer's Office undertakes.
Okay.
There are also other functions such as they oversee the tax sale for certain tax properties within Marion County. They serve as a member of the Board of Commissioners. Under Unigov, since there is still a requirement for a Board of Commissioners for the county, it is made up of the treasurer, the auditor, and the assessor. And right now, I should say that both of those, two of those three positions are held by a woman, the current treasurer, Claudia Fuentes.
Latina.
Yes, and auditor Julie Voorhees. So.
And she is a whippersnapper. She ain't nobody to be messed with.
Yes.
Both
of them, actually.
Well, they are. Yeah, but you know what? Julie actually makes me think about what I'm doing before I actually do it. You know, I'll be like, you know, them Voorhees, you. That's
They're
a lot.
a good, solid family.
Yeah, man, but don't cry, man. Look. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Y'all know I'm. Come on, I tell jokes.
And she gets to. It's her show.
Yeah, amen. And Julie knows how much I love her. That's why I can rib her.
Yeah.
That's why.
She and her late husband were some of my dearest friends, and you know, I miss Bob every day, as I'm sure she does.
Yeah.
So
yeah, well, that's a lot of responsibility.
It is
for because first of all, most of us don't want to pay taxes. However, as we know, that property tax freeze. So I had this conversation this Saturday at the training session, and we talked about the property tax freeze, and I believe that our property tax cap. I believe that tax cap actually, limits the amount of revenue that a municipality can bring in, because now you've capped it.
Right.
That's it. So either you create new properties
or new revenue streams.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about if a school system has to pass a referendum because it's underfunded, then to me that means we're not collecting enough revenue from the normal revenue streams that we should be to fund schools. I'm not a mathematician or an accountant.
Right. It has been said before that property tax caps are good for homeowners and bad for local government. And I believe that at some point it needs to be that it's good for everyone.
Right.
And I think there's a good solid mix. We were given the referendum process for local schools, but there are essential services that are out there that local government struggles to fund. And
like what?
Well, public safety is always a challenge. Public safety is always a challenge.
Yeah.
And for instance, so we
That's
reduced our reliance on property taxes, and we were allowed to implement the public safety income tax, all of which goes to fund essential public services. And it's everything from, the person who will provide frontline services to inmates, to a police officer, to the vehicle, 911. We also have state revenue that comes in for 911 services. That's a huge chunk of change, probably in the $6 million range. But it is artfully crafting, and I guess I can speak to this because I'm the CFO for Sheriff Kerry Forrestal right now.
Okay.
And we have seen
we like Kerry
firsthand. Yes.
We like Kerry.
He is a great public servant, has been a law enforcement professional for many years, probably more years than he wants me to talk about on the show.
He's a youngin'.
He is a youngin' at heart.
Yeah.
But I've seen these challenges that local government faces. As city controller back in 2004, I got to live through them where, I get a call from the Department of Local Government Finance where there was an issue or some calculation they had miscalculated, and it sort of wipes $8 million out. And, in a $1 billion budget, $8 million doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're looking at how to get rid of $8 million in a budget, it's a pretty tall challenge.
Absolutely, especially when as an employee of the municipality, that your personal income is not going to change when you're trying to find cuts. Because what's the first place that you try to cut? It's labor. And those of us that are providing those essential services, I know for myself personally, and this is not a boohoo Dana Black, because I'm doing all right. I'm one of the lucky ones. But when the cost of living continues to go up, right? There's property tax caps, but the cost of living, because the state just passed 2 years ago the gas tax increase, and so the cost of living goes up. But when your personal income can't match or come even close to the increases that the cost of living, that becomes stressful.
Right.
And that $8 million is huge. I don't need 8. I just need, just
and
a
when
couple thousand.
And when you put into the mix that local government is also feeling many of the same pains as its employees and the public at large, the escalating cost of health care.
Yeah.
To provide a competitive workplace, you need to have
benefits.
good benefits.
Yeah.
And it's a challenge. And sort of every year there's this process you go through: how much of a raise or how much, insurance. So and the two don't always have to conflict, but there are times when
they do. Well, and you also mentioned public safety. I know that there has been a cry and a call for body cams for IMPD. And so IMPD has roughly 1,700 officers, sworn officers, and to put, obviously all of them that are not on a patrol, but it's not even the devices that they have to pay for, it's the storage. It's that's what people don't, it's not the devices or the software or anything like that. It's the amount of storage, because you're talking about high quality video that you want to store.
High resolution, because if you want to see what really happens, you have to see what really happens.
This ain't no 8mm, baby. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so as we, and as you are running to, be at that federal level, a lot of the decisions trickle down, unfortunately. And I know I hate that term because that really didn't work. That's why the wealth gap is what it is, because it didn't work. You know that saying, don't tinkle on me and tell me it's raining. You see how I cleaned that up, didn't I? I cleaned that up. I cleaned it up. So a lot of the rules that the state has to implement and that trickles down to the municipalities come from that Fed level. Talk about when you're thinking about winning that election and being a freshman congressman, what are the issues that you want to tackle right away?
Okay. First thing is healthcare. I know several teachers who've been teaching for 20, 25 years. On paper, it looks like they're making a little bit more, but in reality, they're taking less home because the insurance costs are just going up, and that's for everybody. So our insurance, not only the premiums, but also the deductibles are just ridiculous. So first thing is healthcare, and whether that be fixing the Affordable Care Act or trying to go more for Medicare for all, just kind of really depends on what
proposals are out there, right?
Yeah, it's really what you can get passed through, as far as what's going to work. I think it'd be more practical to try to fix Affordable Care Act to start with, and then kind of go to a gradual Medicare for all if that's what the constituents want.
And they're crying for it.
Yeah.
I mean, every other industrialized nation who has a revenue and a budget like ours and an economy like ours, they have universal health care. So it's not like we can't do it. We just have, because capitalism says, oh no, this industry needs to make money. So,
but it needs to be a slow. It's a big boat. You can't just turn on a dime. So to get the big boat, it's got to be slow, gradual turns.
But you got to be willing to turn it. And there's some people ain't willing to turn it. In fact, what is so frustrating is that there are certain individuals out there who are elected officials who believe that, you know what, I'm sorry that your health sucks, and I'm sorry that you don't have any money to pay for it. And that is the thing that I just can't understand. How do you expect to be a public servant? Because that's what we are when you're elected. That's what they are when they're Freudian slip.
But you are a public servant.
When you're an elected official, your job is to look out for the public. I am not anti-business, and I want people to understand. I recognize the importance of businesses in communities. I get that, but why can't I just? I don't have insurance on my card for car repairs. I pay the person that fixes my car. I don't have, there are certain things that why can't I just talk to St. Vincent's and we work out a payment plan for my $116,000? But it wouldn't be $116,000 you get rid of the insurance company. But anyway, that's a whole other story.
Yeah. So besides healthcare, I like to really focus on bringing up minimum wage. It's been $7.25 for forever now. So
Alabama just passed a law and signed it that Birmingham was trying to raise up to 15, and they passed a law at the State House said they couldn't.
And the thing that gets me is that a lot of people want to argue, the middle class seems to, we try to fight each other. Like if we raise the minimum wage, that's going to hurt me. Well, you can't look at it that way because minimum wage, every time you raise minimum wage, everyone else's wages go up.
Absolutely.
In the middle class. So we've got to understand that and stop fighting with ourselves.
Absolutely.
And realize, where the money is at. Really, the money is at the top 1%.
Which it has received another 20%. What was it? The tax break that was just ridiculous.
And so, in my research, what I've been looking up is that, 40 years ago, CEOs were getting paid $30 or 30 to 1 ratio to their workers. Now it's over 900 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to kind of make that gap, that transition to raise minimum wage, there's got to be, I think, some kind of comprehensive, cap for what CEOs can make, and then we can be able to actually bring the wages up. Because if you just bring up the wages, then people will end up getting unemployed, and because CEOs would still try to find ways to make their money. So I think it's got to go hand in hand.
So you want to bring it this way
yes.
and not just this way.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. What else you got?
Besides those two topics there, teacher, I'm a gun owner, but I really think we need to focus on stricter gun laws here throughout the country, throughout Indiana.
Oh, you didn't like the bill that came out that said, no, you don't even need to register to get your handgun? you didn't like that one?
Yeah, the first time I bought a handgun, it was like in and out in an hour. So, I think you need to, maybe make the time frame longer, make the requirements stricter. I really think we need to make it harder for people to, access it. Make sure the people that are buying them are good, upstanding citizens.
See, now, there's them other people on the other side with their Second Amendment, of course, now let me shut up, Dana. I have to stop myself at times. They always want to say, criminals are going to get guns. The responsible gun owner is the one that's going to be put out and have to deal with all this because we're responsible, but it's the people who want to do poor things are going to get those guns. What do you say to them about that?
Well, I don't know if I have a good answer for that, but we can't just sit on our hands and do nothing.
Absolutely.
So, someone told me, well, if somebody wants to hurt you, they're going to hurt you. And I bring up the case, with the London terrorist attack.
Mm-hmm.
He was attacking with a knife.
A knife.
So he only got, he killed a few people instead of
30.
hundreds.
Yes, like the dude in Vegas, just,
So, and I know their laws, their country's laws are different than our country's laws, but the reality is the same. That they have stricter gun laws, and
well, Australia they didn't have the same gun laws they had. They had a mass shooting. They instituted gone. Assault weapons gone. No more mass shootings. We for some reason allowed the gun lobby to say, well, I'm gonna tell you, when Sandy Hook happened, and there was complete inaction when it came to gun control. Honestly, I knew they weren't going to do anything about it because if they're going to let little white suburban kids get shot up, come on now, y'all know this is America, quit tripping. If they was going to let little white kids get shot up and nothing come from that, no legislation, not one piece of legislation came from that, I knew the rest of us was in trouble because little white kids, little white suburban kids, and y'all not trying to... Oh, the rest of us ain't got it, especially, those of us who are really on the margins. Women, people of color, gay. We just, I knew. And it's hard to, fathom how these people say that they are about the public and are willing to say, they let the gun lobby win. They let the NRA win.
Yeah, so stricter gun laws is definitely, I'm definitely in favor of that. Environment, I'm a science teacher.
We need more of them in elected officials. I'm telling you.
Yeah, so I can sit there
you and Bill Nye
talk to you about why the planet's heating up. So climate change, that's the first thing we got to do. We got to admit that climate change is happening.
Exactly. The little baby from Sweden, she driving all the world trying to tell the people.
Yeah.
She ain't even a teenager yet. She can't even drive yet.
I was gonna say, can she even drive?
No. Yeah. And when she came to New York last year, she took a no emissions boat over.
That's what took her so long to get here. Yeah.
Smarter than most of the adults. Yeah.
Yeah. So address that issue. Social Security is on my radar.
Wow.
For a Democrat because it wants to be Republicans want to privatize it. So.
And this is the part that I don't understand. Well, and when I say, I know people get upset with me when I say we need to bring these issues to light so people understand how they are voting against their own interests. People want to talk about you know, how one day they're going to be rich and they're one day, well, your one day may not ever happen, right? And here you are, 66, 67 years old, and we know there's ageism, right? And maybe you didn't keep up with technology. Maybe you were an assembly line worker or you were in the service industry, right? And you enjoyed it, but you know what? That doesn't allow you to save a whole lot of money. Social Security, why would you vote against the party or the people who are looking to preserve it? Social Security doesn't add to our deficit. It doesn't. People think it does. It doesn't. It's in its own little space, all out here, all by itself. They did it on purpose. Why would you want to put that in the stock market when in 2008, everything came a crashing down? And now you really, you know, there was the jokes in the 70s, late 60s and 70s about little old ladies eating cat food. That's exactly what you're going to have. I don't know how to grow anything, so I'm in trouble. I'm going to need you to protect Social Security.
Absolutely. So protecting Social Security. You know,
and the environment, yeah. So when we talk about all the things that impact, you know, because everything, politics is always local, right? Politics is local. So he's talked about the grand ideas out of Washington. What are some of the things that you want to do differently that you see or don't see in the treasurer's office that you want to see maybe done or not done? Or
I want to start out by saying that the county treasurer's office under Claudia Fuentes has been a stellar organization. She's a top-notch treasurer with the experience and has been a great leader. I don't think I want to go in and monkey around and change a whole thing, change a whole bunch of things. There are some things that I want to try to do differently. I think the first thing is technology. Are we using technology to the best of our ability? Is there a better way that people can pay their property taxes? I know there's the online feature, but is there something that we can do to make it more robust? And look at technology. And the problem with technology...
The only reason why I giggle is because technology
is
in the
expensive.
enterprise... Well, not just that, but from an enterprise level, it's handled by one agency. One agency controls pretty much all the technology for the city county.
Right.
So,
and I think there's a collaboration there that I'd like to explore to make sure that technology
is keeping up.
Is being that we are keeping up with the technology that's out there, that, you know, that if there's an app that we can use, if there's something we can do differently, just looking at the technology focus. The other thing that I'd like to explore, and again, I will say this probably requires legislative change. It's not something that's going to happen on day one. I have, through my previous experience, dealt with problems of foreclosed properties, abandoned properties, and the blight and the problems that they can cause in a community. Also know that rental properties sometimes can cause problem within the fabric of a neighborhood. I want to bring a collaborative approach to the tax sale, and maybe before the tax sale that there is a way that we can work in cooperation with a group of entities, like Renew Indianapolis, the local community development corporations, which are throughout the county, bringing those types of entities together to see if before a property gets to a tax sale that there's some sort of intervention or steps that we can take it to keep it from getting to a tax sale. I had someone tell me that might be a little pie in the sky. Well, you got to start somewhere. Maybe we have a pilot.
There you go.
Maybe we work cooperatively with someone in Pike Township where there might be instances. But I think it's a good first step. The thing that I probably wouldn't change, Claudia has had a terrific commitment to diversity, which I share. I think the fact that her office speaks so many languages, and I celebrate that. And
it's imperative, actually, yeah.
It is. First of all, it's just the right thing to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you want an entity to be reflective of the community, but you also bring everyone in and get differing viewpoints. And I really think it's important to maintain that commitment to diversity.
I think, and you know what's interesting is like I find it concerning. It concerns me a little bit how people think because you add a brown dot or you add a black dot or you add a rainbow dot, oh look, I'm diverse. But but it's also about the opportunities, right, that we offer people. I know when we were having our our platform discussion this past Saturday, there was some concern about in the platform. This has nothing to do with, but there was some concern about the platform and whether or not it should identify specific issues that are specific to a voting block. And when you're not in that voting block or in that demographic, you may not recognize sometimes how important it is to have someone representing that block. So if you are one of our Burmese residents on the south side of Indianapolis who English is their second language or not even spoken very much, but they still have property and they still have property taxes, you need to make sure that they have a way to communicate with that. And it's still, even though we recognize that, as a party, we're the big tent, sometimes we even still struggle with, it's not just putting the dots in there, it's making sure that you've empowered those dots to be of use to the community.
Right. And I think the other thing is not just putting the dot in there, but empowering them, but also making certain that I, as treasurer, and that my team understand that it's not just a dot. It's a way of life. It's a train of thought. It's a commitment. It's not just a dot.
Since we're on diversity, I mean, our we have diversity in our senators, in our United States Senate is lacking. Diversity in our state house, for the most part, is incredibly lacking. But when you win, you'll have an opportunity to influence that change. Mm-hmm. What does that look like for you? What is what is inclusion and diversity? When you become elected, what does that look like?
Inclusion just means for me, giving everybody an opportunity, respecting everybody, whatever their viewpoints might be. A lot of my closest friends are Republicans, but I still respect their viewpoints.
You're better than me, man. So I like them, but I feel like it's kind of mess you on.
We try to be respectful.
Get that crack back. You don't need it anymore. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. Republicans, I love you, Republicans.
So regardless, of your ethnicity or your background, just trying to give people equal opportunities, and I want to surround myself with good people, whoever they are.
Yeah, and see, I imagine being in the military, you didn't care about that.
Sure
So
don't.
Could you just have my 6, please? Could you just have my 6?
Yeah.
I don't care how you eat your chicken, whether it's curried, jerked, fried. I don't care. Could you just have my 6?
Yeah, but like I said, there's one color in the Army that was green. So
yes.
Everything else,
That was the other reason why I couldn't be in the military.
Green doesn't look.
Well, not that. It's just I didn't want to look like everybody else.
Okay.
That was there was that uniformity thing that was bugging. I did like the Marine uniform until I saw the girl uniform. And I was like, I'm not wearing that. I wanted the boy uniform. Shocker, right? I want the male Marine uniform. That's a bad uniform. Yeah. And when I seen the female uniform, I was like, well, not that I was ever gonna make it anyway, but that uniform, ooh. Yeah. So I mean, and it's just so important to hear our people that want to lead understand the importance of a diverse community. I know Indiana, for the most part, has it's essentially 80% white. We understand that, right? But there's still that 20% of African Americans, Latinos, Asians, from people from all Caribbean, all over the world. We still need to make sure we're being represented, and it's always good to hear our politicians or people who want to run for office address that and talk about that. Mm-hmm. I know that I've been in several conversations where people are like, well, what is your Black agenda? I don't need that specific. I don't need to be that specific, but it's always important that you recognize that you got to bring people in to the conversation. Mm-hmm. See, those are, I told you this is going to be painless. It's going to be painless. So now, as we round it out and you guys are out knocking on doors. I know you guys have been out knocking on doors. You're probably going to start your campaign. Have you already been out knocking doors?
Oh yeah.
So tell me what you're hearing. Tell me what feedback you're getting from your constituents, and go.
All right. Well, like for me, for knocking on doors, the number one thing we're talking about is the healthcare.
Okay.
You got to bring the healthcare costs down, and then we always go into other issues as well, social security, like we hit on, and the environment. So everything that I'm kind of running for is kind of what I'm hearing people are concerned about.
Okay.
So that's the biggest thing for me. And if they have other issues that they like to talk about, I write them down and try to look into them. I was at an Adams County Democrat meeting, and they have a lot of flooding there. So trying to look into figuring out how to help them with the flooding problem and things like that.
That's federal and state and local governments working together.
Yeah, I was down at Jay County on Tuesday talking to the Jay County Democrats, and their biggest concern was the drug problem with their youth down there. So
I haven't been to Jay County yet.
I got to kind of look into that and try to figure out.
They meet every month?
I assume so.
I got Jay County. I'm coming. I haven't been there yet. I need to go up and meet. That's good Democrats. I got to go meet them. Jake.
I'll get you his number.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I love going. I've been to 53 counties, so I want to get to all. I still got a ways to go, but I'm going to get to all of them. What do you hear when you're knocking on doors?
Well, I think I hear something completely
Absolutely.
different. What I hear is, boy, this treasurer's race is certainly heating up because it is a contested race.
It is a
going
contested
to
race.
convention next Saturday.
Yeah.
By and large, what I'm getting is, what does the treasurer's office do? Because quite frankly, this race has probably raised the prominence of the treasurer's
Absolutely.
office.
We have two qualified candidates.
Which is a good thing.
We have two qualified candidates, and that's what you want.
Yes. So it's more along the lines of, why are you different from your opponent? Tell me what the treasurer's office does. Why are you out going door to door when it's 35 degrees? Those types of questions. That, it's leading up to February 8th, and we have to do door to door. So that's when you do it.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't understand. They get upset with us because they are new to the process, and they don't always understand that Marion County does a convention where the precinct committee people come together and they talk about who they plan to support in the primary. And it's a process, and Marion County is the only one that does it, and it is what it is. That's my opinion of that. And so, yes, and the good thing is we have two good candidates. Everyone knows my relationship with Josh, so it's not it's not a big deal. Right. And again, if I don't set any other example in life, if like people go, that Dana was horrible. Why did she call herself Indiana Jones? That you can support somebody else and say, Barbara, when we had our conversation, I said, Barbara, if you win, then I'm on board with you. And Democrats, that's how we're supposed to be. When we see each other, we hug each other, we smile with each other, we laugh with each other. All of this. There are things about human behavior I will never understand, but I support Democrats. That's me. And I don't care if you're a moderate Democrat or you're a progressive socialist Democrat. My thing is, I know when it comes down to a vote, as a Democrat, you're going to be more likely on the correct side of things. And I know that I will be, as an individual, will be taken care of. So if there is a Republican candidate for treasurer, I'm supporting the winner. And same thing, I'm Chip, I know you have some opponents in the primary as well, but and they'll be on later on in the year. But it's so important that we understand and embrace that this is a competition. And I understand that some people want to make it.
And the other thing that is important to me is sort of that we keep this process on the high road, because as I conclude a lot of speeches by saying, whatever happens on February 8th, I'm going to do what I try to do every year that I've been involved in, that's elect Democrats in November. So to the extent that you don't want, a Democrat at a disadvantage, I think we've both taken the high road.
Absolutely, because I've had Josh on already, and that it's so important. I think just people need to understand. We don't want to be like the other side. Like I wrote about. They wanted to give us their divisive playbook and all of that. That's not who we want to be. We want to make sure that we're putting the people first, community first. And it just so happens that we have a lot of good people who are qualified to run. Doesn't mean we the next person. I'm been on that because some of the vitriol that I've been hearing has just been insane, and not necessarily from local races or statewide, but it's the presidential stuff that I've really been hearing where it's been really heated. I even had somebody tell me who I was supposed to be voting for or who I'm supposed to be supporting based on the way I've named my show. My show was called Turn Left, so obviously I was a Bernie supporter. How they came to that conclusion, I have no idea. Because I figured, in my mind, I named the show Turn Left because as Democrats, we are considered on the left side of things and Republicans are considered on the right side of things. Yeah. And I'm like, let's everybody turn left, Yeah. But and you have these people that feel like you should be, listen, we all get to places at a different way and we just have to be willing to support each other. And if I can't stress that enough, all right, tell the people where they can find you so they can help you out and donate to your campaign. Go, please.
All right, so it's Coldiron for Congress. Is the website, coldironforcongress.com. You can go there and check out what my issues are about. You can go there and sign up, put your email down there. You can go there and donate if you want to donate to the campaign. So if you want to get involved, it's just coldironforcongress.com. We're also on Twitter, and we're also on Instagram as well.
And do you have any fundraisers coming up?
Yes, I do.
All right.
February 22nd, we'll have a baked potato fundraiser up in Wells County.
Okay.
So
February 22nd, they'll be able to find all that stuff out on your social media sites and your website, correct?
Yeah, we're getting
all right, you guys supporting. All right, tell the people where they can find you.
I can't believe it, but when I found that lawrencefortreasurer.com was available, I snapped it up. I mean, I thought for sure, it'd be like Lawrence for Treasurer number 22, but apparently I'm the only lawrencefortreasurer.com that's out there. It has information on my experience, both professional, public finance, and political. Has the endorsements that I've received, which have been key to getting me to this point.
Absolutely.
There is an online opportunity to donate if you'd like. I also am on Facebook at Lawrence for Treasurer. How about that? Instagram also. So looking forward to a wonderful convention. I have no fundraisers planned
between now and then.
Between now and February 8th. So.
Okay. See, y'all, Indiana's own Dana Black, Turn Left. We are bringing you candidates from all over the state. In fact, if there's we are booked out till June. I've got candidates in a couple of my shows I think are triple booked. I didn't mean it, but there's so many. And what that says though is, y'all, you guys find value in this. And I'm going to keep on doing it as long as you find value. If you see something you like, share it with me. If you see something you don't like, be kind. You ain't got to be mean and rude about it. I don't want to see, Dana, you suck. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. Say, Dana, maybe if you tone down the optimism just a little bit. Maybe something like that. Constructive criticism I can take. But if you see something you like, if there's a guest that I haven't reached out to, or you don't know, or a candidate I haven't reached out to, or somebody you want to hear from, or you think that we ought to, get out to the masses, share that with me. I'm easy to find. You see my contact information is up there. My Facebook page is wide open because it's not about Indiana's own. Y'all know me. Y'all already know me. It's about bringing you to people who want to serve you, the people that are looking to serve our communities. This is a citizen government. We have a teacher and a military man and someone who went to IU and been working on campaigns since Lee Hamilton and been around behind the scenes. Everyday working people trying to make a change in our government. Just trying to make a change in our government. All right, before I go, I want to remind you, if you have not and you want to, there's still time to apply to be a census worker. Listen. I know redistricting is on your mind. It's on your mind. You want to get rid of all of this gerrymandering. You want to, we know that this is not a 70-30 state. We know this. But if we don't get involved and make sure that we're collecting census information, none of it works. We talk about funding. If you don't know, if you're not there, if there's not a human there to get counted, they're not going to send them funding. The treasurer is going to be like, look, ain't nobody there. Ain't nobody there. These are the things that we have to do. So just like the 2020 election is important, the 2020 census is just as important. Because if we can't fix a lot of the problems that we have. I want to draw the line. You know me, every week I'm going to draw that line. Census, that means humans are getting counted. When humans are getting counted, the population totals come down and they draw the lines. Hopefully They will have some conscience about themselves, and they will draw the lines that are fair, right? We can always hope, right? And then we can have a more balanced state house, because that supermajority is killing me right now. You see what I'm saying? And then we can pass legislation that makes sense. With that way we don't have people trying to pass legislation that bans all, abortions for women regardless of the medical reason, or writing legislation that puts doctors in literally criminal harm's way if they need to help a woman out in crisis. Those are not the bills that we need. We need the bills. Oh, the other one, the bill that says, the coal plant people can't shut down their coal plants unless they talk to the commission first. The coal plant, because again, I understand that coal is cheap, but it's dirty. And when you, as they say, when you know better, you do better. We know better now, so we don't have to use the same old dirty technology. And if we can get all that other stuff taken care of, then we can really deal with the issues that matter. And that's always about educating our kids and keeping our environment clean, making sure we have clean water. I mean, there's so many real issues that we could be fighting. I agree, we need some more hate crimes legislation, but the idea that we want to prosecute, the prosecutor said we don't want to prosecute less than whatever it is of marijuana. I don't know the weights. I'm sorry. But anyway, this is what we're trying to do. So if you know somebody that needs to come on this show and tell their story about why they're running, hit me up, because I don't know everybody. But this is what we're doing every week. And like I said, we are booked out to June. Yes. So before the primary, I'm trying to get as many primary opponents on as I can, because that's what we do. It's about Democrat love, making sure that every Democrat has an opportunity to share their story about why they want to represent you. All right, Indiana Zone, Dana Black, turn left. I am out of here. Y'all enjoy your weekend.